Hey y'all, this is your girl Angie. I'm home from work and a little bit tired. The tax season has kicked my butt. Today's the last day, and I get to really breathe. It's not quite over yet for me, but at least I got everybody that needed to be seen and filed and tucked away. And it's always crazy right around this time. But with that being said, though, here's what I just want to say. At the end of the day, I'm going to always ride for my family. And I'm always going to stand on the right side of what I think should be fair and what I feel like is honest, right? And my video that I made last week stemmed from just frustration and me just something in my spirit, more like an intuition, that I needed to speak out on some things because it's just a lot of too many coincidental things that I've noticed when it comes to my mother's era, like where there's people that there are a lot of ownership within the black families, but what ruins it is that people, they let a lot of their ego, they let a lot of their pride really get in the way. And by the time they ask for help, it's pretty much too late to really just step in, or nobody really have money like that to just help and save somebody because they're so far in over their heads that like nobody is not going to be sensible enough to put themselves in situations like that, right? And with that being said, where people get themselves in that situation, then also understanding that, at least is where I'm coming from when it comes to my mom, my grandmother. So my grandmother, she has my grandma doesn't have much, right? And like a lot of most black families that really grow up in low incomes, that when they do have a house, their idea, or at least what they're expecting to leave their kids, is that like the house is a symbol of what they have to leave this world with, knowing that they were able to look over their families and they were able to leave a legacy. But I also believe in too that, hey, if our children are not meeting expectations that we set for them, that, hey, well, it needs to skip a generation and go right to where you think the person's responsible. And the reason why I say that is because we're now not into the business, or we shouldn't be in the business of trying to coddle people, and we should care about feelings, because I no longer take that approach. I think what kind of got me in this mindset was understanding, like, even when I got married, that you want to spare people's feelings and you want people to be a part of your special day. But if you feel like the person that you love and you care about the most is really not doing their job, then why give them a big responsibility if they're going to fail? And if that's going to be something that you're going to always remember, right? And so just like that whole situation, I also apply it to this. Like, my grandmother left a property for her children, my mother and her brother, to be able to decide on and to be able to handle it like mature adults. And me, normally I don't get into people's business. I don't make it a habit of stepping in other people's grown folks' business, I would like to say. And because it doesn't affect me in one way or another. But because the house, I want to say it was a big part of my growing up into teenage years, into adulthood. And it was a house where we gathered And my grandma worked hard for that house. I mean, she didn't get her house until she was about 50, I think it was. And she was proud of it. She worked hard on it. She put her money into it to keep it up. And I'm just, I feel some type of way when people are not honoring someone's wishes and people look out for themselves. And so for me, I'm going to protect that. Even if it's going against, my mother and her brother, because I know, because as a homeowner, you know what goes into that. So at least if you have, like if my grandmother had siblings that had a house before, that they would know a thing or two about what it takes to have a house. And for me, I wouldn't have really stepped in the whole situation had I been not hearing things, not so favorable things when it comes to my uncle. And for me, I would have stepped back from it and said, okay, she's leaving her kids, the house. Okay, fine. But because it's been a consistent pattern with this person. It's been a consistent pattern when it comes to my mother's brother about how he's kind of, what's the better word? A little bit sneaky. Like, you don't know to trust him and got an ulterior motive. And I hate to think that worse about, my family, but you can't pick your family. I'm close with his daughters, like my cousins, like I'm close with them, grew up with them. But it's just like, even then sometimes, you gotta kind of question people's character a little bit as you grow up and you don't really see them as, my little cousin, my aunt, my uncle. Like, you see them as adult people that's being able to make a decision. And so had it not been for what I hear little things, it kind of get my brain turning, because the situation, how his behavior and his actions have not been handled well when my aunt, when his sister passed away, when my granddad passed away, like his dad, when they passed away, it was kind of like the stuff that my mom and my sisters would tell me, it was just like crazy. And it's just all greed. And it's like, I don't feel like people need to be profiting off of anybody, because my grandma doesn't have much. And I just think that, I don't know. I think that like all of this is stemming from a poor mindset, very broke people behavior. And this is the very same thing that I try to shield my grandmother away from. And my grandmother, I don't know if she's being just tired of having a conversation or tired of that. She really want her kids. She want to think the very best of her kids. But I told her, like, you got to stop having these expectations of people that's not going to meet you where you want them to be. And it's okay. And you have to really trust someone. You have to be able to put your trust and faith in somebody who's able to do the job, not people who we like, So that was my rant that I had to say, my first video, that I think some of these baby boomers are like destroying the Black wealth. Because for me, it was, well, my mom, with her, she has really bad money problems, like gambling and I just don't want the temptation to be there. I don't know what my uncle's situation is, but I mean, I'm pretty sure it ain't maybe that bad, but hell, it ain't that great. Because if it was, it's just like little things that I kind of pick up. Like my grandmother, the house is almost paid off, so she still have a mortgage. And then my grandmother, she's still gonna take care of her house. And my uncle that's living with her seem to not get it or understand, like, why is she putting more money into the house? Why is she doing this and that? It's like, that's what you do when you have a house. That's what you do when you're a homeowner. You have to upkeep your house. And when it comes to little stuff like that, that just boils my blood, because it's like, so you want all the benefits when it comes to having something of that magnitude, but you don't really know what it takes. And I've always be a firm believer that God is not going to place anything that's not meant for you. And honestly, even though my mom, she lives in a house that she rents, but really, you don't own the house. So that is the problem that I have, is that you have these grown people that have not shown that they could be financially responsible, and you're trying to place an asset on their lap. My mom, she's at the point like where she wants to move and be closer to me, and several states away. So I just don't like the dynamics, and I know it's very selfish of me to want to protect my grandmother, but she worked hard for that, and I just don't want to see people, whether it's my mom or my uncle, taking advantage of that. Like, there's something with me that I want her to continue her legacy, and I want her to know that her grandkids, or some of us, are in her corner and try to uphold her wishes and not have nobody take advantage of you. And I hope that this is the year, that this is the time frame where people are getting exposed and people are not doing right what they're supposed to do. That's honestly what I hope. My grandma doesn't have long left to live due to her age and her illness, but I'm just trying to protect her, and I hope that she can see that I'm trying to pass on knowledge to her to help not make it so the people who have direct interest in it can do what they want to do. I told my grandmother to add a third person to the equation, add another party, so that way, neither one of my mother or my brother can just walk in the bank where they could just take out loans and shit, to make sure that can't happen. So I told her, you gotta just be careful, and kind of understand, like, this is a very important decision. You signing your paper away, you signing yourself away, yourself to ask for these problems. And I just don't. If I can have something to do with it, then I'm gonna stop it. But that's like my TED talk for the moment. So I hope I've gotten myself and I kind of summed everything up for my first video. But y'all, thank y'all very much for listening. Y'all can be anywhere y'all wanted to be, but y'all decided to be here. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and make a comment to my video and let me know your thoughts on everything that I just shared with you. All right, y'all. Peace.